And
Oh,
me? Oh, here it
Oh,
is.
now it is. Here it is.
Okay, there it is.
there we go.
We're on. We're live.
We're live.
Yeah.
Finally.
Go,
Hello.
Chris.
Hi, everybody.
Hmm.
Hi.
Hello. Well, we're gonna tackle one last year for the end of the year, and it's 2003, and we're gonna start with Chris.
All right.
Hi, Chris.
So, Ian, you know how to pronounce this one then?
I butcher it every time I say it.
Fortrang Husha. I don't know.
Yep.
So I will pick this one then. This is 2003. This is a Japanese fusion band. Machine in
Oh,
the
yes.
Machine in the Synergetic Nuts. Can you see
Yep.
that?
Yep.
Mm.
Good band.
They released
Love the
this,
name.
this is the first of two albums, and it's guitar, it's keyboards, guitar, sax, drums, bass, kind of in this frenetic, very active fusion, great melodies, very Japanese Kenzo type, if you like Kenzo, more of a
Mm.
jazzy Kenzo sound. The drummer is really great, very energetic. There's not a lot of guitar. I think the keyboards handle most of the harmony, and there's some really pretty stuff on here too. Some spacey, pretty sections. In the middle of all this frenetic jazz fusion, but it's a really, really good recording, good tunes, highly recommended. And they have two albums. This is their first, came out in '03. So that's Machine and the Synergetic Nuts.
Cool.
All right. Sounds cool.
You
All right,
guys
you're up.
familiar with it?
I
I
am.
heard the name. I heard the
I am.
name.
I've got the one after that one, the blue one.
That's on Cuneiform.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Sounds like Ian has a compatriot here.
Yes.
Some all the Avant stuff that he
Oh,
like.
the one's down the deep end of the pool.
Yes. I was thinking no one had to worry about doubling Ian, but now I'm worried.
Now Chris might be doubling. Well, it was Alex previously. He was always doubling
Well,
up mine.
Alex, yeah, but Chris might be too, though.
Yep. Could be.
Is it me now, Ron?
Yes, you're
Okay.
up.
I'm more the mainstream guy, but I had two that I actually listened to out of that year that, in real time. And then the other ones I'll just pick from, going back once I got back into prog in 2014. And I probably before someone else takes it, but I don't know what this group, so no one probably will. I'm going to obviously take Spock's Beard. And, that year was Feel Euphoria. That was the album that Nick DiVirgilio took over and did a very fine job. I think that album's very good compared to after losing Neil Morse like that. So I don't know much more I can say about that because that's pretty much everybody knows that one. So anybody else got any comments on it? Nobody
Yeah, I
followed.
remember that
Well,
one.
I haven't heard it.
I actually had it on my list also.
Well, at least there's two of us. Mark probably likes it.
Didn't make my top five.
Well, I mean, I didn't say top five, but hopefully
Okay.
you like something on it. Okay. Yeah. So that's one going back on. Before I go on, I picked one. I picked one coming up to drive Ian nuts, and then I picked another one that I think he might like. So we'll see.
All right.
I'm done.
All right, Mark, your turn.
Okay. Well, let's see. I got a couple on Robert's list. Let me. I'll just say. I'll say those for later. Just nod my head when he does them. I really liked something. It's not really my normal thing, but I really like Mars Volta's "The Lost in the Crematorium" that year, and it's just not my typical subgenre of progressive rock, but that one album just absolutely really spoke to me, and I thought that it was amazing, and I was reminded by it by looking at Prog Archives. It's number one in Prog Archives, which really surprised me because it's pretty heavy. But I just I like every song from there. I think there's a couple 5-star songs on there, and I was excited for their whole discography, really. But this is my favorite album by them.
Yeah.
Rose After Me.
All right, Robert.
Okay. Well, first 2003 album I want to talk about is Avenged Sevenfold, Waking the Fallen. That's the cover. It's the second album, this hard thrash metal band. Uh, the musicians have all kind of funny pseudonyms like The Rev, Zaki Vengeance, and Sinister Gates. It has quality, musicality, and originality that's easily comparable to the Iron Maiden and Metallica offerings of that same era. The vocals are spot on throughout the album for the musical style. It's almost operatic at times. There's great double guitar work with the very precise counterpoints and much virtuosity and blazing back and forth. Lots of very energetic, memorable guitar solos with some pretty hard guitar riffs throughout. Unholy Confession is a track that truly stands out on this album. It's a bit repetitive at times, but quite an improvement over their first album, I feel. It's a classic hard sound that I must admit hasn't aged well over the past 20 years. Waking the Fallen was certified platinum in the United States, selling well over 500,000 albums. It's certified gold in Canada. The production quality is a bit sparse, and the drums are a bit mute at times, but it still sounds good. Avenged Sevenfold.
Is that the Guitar Hero? Do you remember the game, the video game?
Oh yeah.
Yes, true. That's right.
And
Indeed.
the Fire and Chains tune. There were levels of difficulty to that game, and I think that Avenged Sevenfold was one of the harder tunes to master on that toy.
I believe, yes, it was indeed part of the first edition of Guitar Hero. Yeah.
Was the name of the tune Between the Fire and Chains or something like that? Was it?
That I can't say because I've never played the game, but yeah.
That would have been about the year that album came out. That's why. Okay. Yeah, they
Very cool.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
me next. Me
You're
next.
next, Mr. Yin.
Okay, I'm going with Thinking Plague, History of Madness. They're rehearsal intensive avant rock band, one of the primary avant American bands, came kind of with the second wave of avant from the 80s forward. This particular album's from their history breaks up into 3 distinct blocks. They did 3 albums close together when they debuted, disappeared for 10 years, came back and did this one and one other, disappeared for another 10 years, and then came back and closed out with another couple of albums. It's one of the classic lineups of the band. Mike Johnson leads the band on guitar. In terms of notable people on here, Dave Shamrock from Sleepytime Gorilla Museum is drumming on this. Deborah Perry's the vocalist on this. Vocals can be quite difficult with Thinking Plague for a lot of people. They're a bit dissonant, a bit all over the place, but highly talented. It's not by accident they're written that way. Features a New York jazz pianist, Matt Mitchell, on this album and the previous album. But it's probably my favorite album from that particular year, though it wouldn't make my top 3 Thinking Plague albums.
That's a dark one.
It is dark.
That's
very
a dark album.
Yeah, it's a lot darker than the previous one. In Extremis was the previous one, and that's not quite as dark at this one.
Yeah, there's not one major chord on that album. Not one. Yeah, that the Thinking Plague, the vocals.
Yeah,
it's almost as if it's an instrument. It's like reciting pitches.
Yeah.
So the vocal is like, of a horn, taking the place of a horn or guitar or a lead instrument. It's interesting.
I love it.
Definitely.
Slightly out of tune lead instrument.
No, it's not
No,
out of
no,
tune.
no.
It's
just
not
the
out of tune at all.
No, it's the intervals that are a little tense.
If you're used to Annie Haslam, it can be a little disconcerting. Put it that way. It's not Annie Haslam.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's not Taylor Swift either.
No.
All right, I'm gonna put mine. Obviously,
No.
King Crimson.
King Crimson. They came back almost like with this one, almost like a bench. I noticed it's just heavier, a little more electronic sounds in it, and in kind of in many ways a little more complex than some of the previous albums. A lot of instrumentals and a lot of blueisms, I like to call them, because he had some, his lyrics are off the wall. It's like, I don't know where he's getting these things from, but it's like like Facts of Life. I mean, was it 1 million amps? It's just kind of it's almost like you just listen to his voice. It doesn't really matter what he's kind of singing about. It's just listen to his voice. But I love Level 5 and what is the other? Electric.
Yeah, Electric's excellent.
And it has a couple, that lead song, Happy, geez, it's just like the longest name, Happy with What You Have to Be Happy With. And what was the other one? Eyes Wide Open. Those were the two kind of, I guess, anything you would say they're the more single type things, just to kind of grab people in, and then they just show the King Crimson. And I saw them on this tour. Obviously, I was wearing the shirt, and I saw them on a previous tour about almost 9 years prior, and these guys were, I'll say it, they were fucking loud. And at this time, I went to see him. I was in Hollywood, and it was at the Wiltern Theater. And this was at the time in my life where I was starting to use a cane. So I bought regular tickets, but the usher took me and my ex right up to the front, and I didn't have earplugs. So I'm right up in the front, not center, but just off to the side. And I'm just basically looking at him like this far. And my ears, it was the second time in my life that I came home from a concert when my ears were ringing for about 2 weeks afterwards.
Oh.
The other time was with Motorhead.
I've had that experience with Motorhead.
Yeah, but this is a great album, and I believe this is like the final album from them, because they didn't.
Unless you count
anything.
those collections of live things that they've done, the
the
Radical
live
Mind,
stuff,
but that's the
their
last
last
proper
proper
studio
studio album.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was to me, it was a real return to form. That I wasn't that impressed with the one before that one, but this one was up with the best of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was mine.
I saw that tour in New York.
Oh wow,
very good.
So we saw it on opposite sides of the country.
Opposite coasts. There you go.
All right. Back to you, Chris.
All right. This one I like.
Yeah.
Bird Songs of the Mesozoic.
Oh,
it was on my short list.
Indeed.
I love this when it came. I listened to this a lot when it was released, and I put it on for this show, and it's still a great record.
Mm-hmm.
They're like a kind of a chamber.
Chamber
prog.
rock. Chamber prog.
They don't have a drummer, so the music just propels along with it's kind of some electronics, guitar. They have a boatload of albums too. I don't know if they're still active.
No,
but
they wrapped up about 3 or 4 years ago, I think.
yeah, we're at a Near Fest. I
Yeah.
wasn't at that one, but they were at a Near Fest, but that was a while ago.
Yeah, I saw them in Boston about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. They didn't have a drummer then?
No, very good.
Yeah, they're cool. The
They were a
song,
very good band.
they're excellent compositions.
Yeah,
You know, they
it was
really.
a small, yeah, it was a small jazz club. There couldn't have been more than 30 people there, but
Oh,
it was a
I would
cracking
have loved
show.
to. I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah,
Anyway, they're an interesting band. If you like, that chamber kind of sound like Aranis or maybe the Cro-Magnon, the Belgian band, or Universe Zero, that kind of sound. This band, the Birdsong's a little brighter sounding, a little happier, kind of like happy Rio chamber prog. Good stuff.
All right. Next.
No. All right. So continuing, the one person that doesn't know any of the other people's bands except for I thought mine were mainstream that people would know, anyways, I'm going to pick one. Maybe Ian might like this, but this was back in real time. I listened to this one a lot. And Ian knows I'm a big fan of Neil Young. And this year was Greendale. And Greendale has got a bad rap, but I love that album. It's the last with Crazy Horse for quite a while after that. And it's just storytelling. It's just getting out there. He's telling the story of the Green family and accidental guy made a stupid decision and shot the police officer of just a normal citizen in town, and tells about that whole story. And nobody could tell like Neil. And he has some of the most classic lines in his songs in this one, but people just kind of blow it off because he's almost talking it sometimes, and just like, man, a lot of people don't like his voice. I get that. But anyways, I'm sure no one was going to take Greendale, so I thought I'd take that one.
I didn't.
I know. I know you like him, but I don't know if you like the album at all.
Don't know that album.
I happen to like that one for some reason. It's just always appealed to me. But some of us I don't like.
I love Neil Young. I don't have that one though, but I am familiar with it.
Yeah, it's just a great story album is what it is, and some really classic lines in it. But anyways, that's mine. And on to Mark.
So another one that's I'm really sticking with Prog Archives. I noticed when I double checked that I didn't miss any albums. This one's number 4, and it's Arena's Contagion. This is right. 2003 is right when I started up the show. I think we started in December 2002, and I was really a big fan of the previous album, which was, now I have to think, what's the previous album? It was Immortal and The Visitor. So it had like this great run between The Visitor, Immortal, Contagion, and then Pepper's Ghost after. And they're just really at their height with that particular vocalist, whose name I can't remember. But Contagion just had a bunch of great songs, and I was excited to see them in 2005 at Rouzfest. And then later on, Clive and I became pretty close friends, and so it has special meaning to me now because Clive's been at the house a couple times, and we talk about this album and The Visitor being just some of the best stuff that he ever did. And I just love, the beginning of Witch Hunt and the Angel Falls and Painted Man, just great beginning, and Speculative Feast and the Skin Game. It's just really great, 16 tracks, and just really enjoyed. It was Rob Soden. Is that his name? Rob Soden was the vocalist back then. So I just think if you're ever thinking about checking out Arena, you definitely get right in the middle of this run. The 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th albums are considered some of their best stuff, and this is right in the middle of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had that on my short list too, but
yeah, I made mine. Okay, Robert.
Yes. Okay. The second album I want to discuss about is this one, The Office of Strategic Influence, or O.S.I. This is their first self-titled album. This one is the cool limited edition booklet with a bonus CD. The group features Kevin Moore on vocals and keyboard, Jim Matthews on guitars and keyboard, Mike Portnoy on drums, and the late, great Sean Malone on bass, who passed away in 2020. Much of the music themes on this album were influenced by the 9/11 attack. The overall sound of O.S.I. is a bit of a cross between Dream Theater, Porcupine Tree, and Fate's Warning. And actually, Stephen Wilson contributed the vocals and lyrics on one of the more dark and sinister songs of the album. It's very gritty, energetic, dark, and moody prog rock with absolutely impeccable musicianship and captivating melodies and harmonies. It really sounds good. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the Kevin Moore vocals. I don't know, it just grates at me, but I guess it kind of grows on you at one point.
I think it works with this.
Yeah. The song Hello Helicopter, it's truly splendid tune on this album. So O.S.I.
All right, check it out.
Ian.
Second one for me is Chicago band Sheer Accident and their album Introducing Lemons. They're another one of the pillars of the North American avant scene. Have a huge career dating back into the 80s, lots and lots of albums. They change style all of the time, so they're very, very hard to pin down. Their live shows are notorious for being completely surprising. I saw them once in France, and they opened the show with somebody doing a headstand for 15 minutes. And it's like, okay, that's kind of the band they are. This particular album is one of their strongest in their discography. It's one of the ones I go back to most often. It opens and closes with epics. It's got a 22-minute epic as the opening track and a 22-minute one as the closing track. There's a very humorous track in the second place in Campo Physique, which is weirdly vocal American camp song that's in there. But yeah, overall a very strong album from them, and probably in my top 3 or 4 Sheer Accident albums.
Wow.
Yeah, and yours truly was on their TV show for a year and a half back here in Chicago, and it was called Cool Clown Ground. And just to give you a little bit, another story about how their weirdness is, they got on stage and they sang a lyric, "Why don't you take me down to Cool Clown Ground, Mrs. Robinson?" They said that they sung that for nearly a half hour. I heard it was more than 20 minutes. Just said it over and over again.
Yeah.
And the crowd laughed and then got mad about 10 to 15 minutes through and then started laughing again. And that was the whole deal. They like to try and make you laugh, get you angry, and then make you laugh again, all by doing exactly the same thing for 25 minutes. And so they had a TV show that did exactly that. So they had a time where they're out on the street, and it's a place where there's some homeless people around, and they just do Tim Jones is just on the drums going dun dun ding dun dun ding, 2 hours straight, 4-episode show, and you kind of watch the homeless people start to converge on them, and kind of the same thing ensues. And so that is Sheer Accident, in case you have never seen them live.
Interesting bunch of cats, but very good album.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
My next one is Opeth, Damnation. I always bring this out during the winter time to listen to because it just fits, now that I'm up here in the New England area where winters are dreary, it's just the perfect album to listen to, and it's just interesting that previous albums, it was a lot of that death metal vocals going on. And then he just decided, with this one just to go clean, and then he sounded sinister with the death metal vocals, but with his clean voice on these songs were that they were slightly mellower than the other stuff. It kind of has a sinister sound to it. I mean, not overly dark, but it just like, it's like, and Death whispered a lullaby. I mean, just the whole album is it's just perfect for this time of the year to listen to. And then I think the following year they did this is Damnation and Deliverance, and that was kind of going back to with the death metal vocals. So it has like a little bit of a counterpoint. And I think they even released them together as a box set later on down the line, which I didn't find out about it until I think they're out of print. So at least I got the original copy, so that's it's good enough for me. So this is my second one.
And who produced that one?
Stephen Wilson.
Stephen Wilson.
Yes, exactly. I don't want you to forget saying that. That's great.
Yeah, I think he kind of helped influence a little bit of this, and then
they actually went on tour together.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then Opeth kind of influenced Porcupine Tree to get a little heavier, and so it's like,
right.
It's like, you come my way, I'll go your way. It's like that kind of thing. But
well, at the time, Porcupine Tree was a little bit heavier than them. I saw that tour that Robert was mentioning, and all the Opeth guys were there. They're tatted up. They got piercings all over their body, and they're waiting for Opeth, just like and then Porcupine Tree comes out there and kind of blows them away in the sense that it was much more heavy, and they weren't able to. They didn't really like Damnation. They kind of they're more fans. So now whenever I go to Porcupine Tree shows, I see a bunch of Opeth t-shirts, right? And they really crossed over a lot of people. You know what I mean? It was interesting to see the Opeth fans just really dig Porcupine Tree, and then them being a little bit kind of soft on Opeth because of how mellow Damnation was.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, before we go back to the beginning, we got someone in the chat room named Kevin Feely. I don't know if you guys know that guy.
Yeah, I know that guy.
I hope he doesn't owe any of you money.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
That Opeth, the Sea of Tranquility did a show on a couple of weeks ago on that album, that Opeth album.
Right.
It was interesting.
Yeah,
that would be one of my choices also. That was I like that album. I like that band.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, like I said, it's perfect for this time of the year.
It's melancholy.
Yeah. It's like, I look out the window and it's like, it's such a far cry from looking out the window when I was in Los Angeles. It's like all bright and cheery and full of people, and now I'm here on the other side of the country.
But you have Stephen King as company.
Yeah, he's almost next door.
Yeah, it gets dark early in New England.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is.
All right, Chris, you're
all right. So this is very obscure, and I just discovered this band during the pandemic. They're a Swedish jazz rock band called Odd Job.
Don't know them.
They're wonderful. They have a lot of albums. They have probably about 8 albums out, and they're hard to find. They sound, they kind of sound like they could be an ECM band, which is kind of this moody, modal, kind of melancholy jazz. There's some synths on it, so it's kind of a fusion edge to it too. But they're just beautiful players. I mean, this stuff is really, if you like Miles Davis if you like in the silent way, that kind of cosmic groove, jazz rock sound that was really prevalent in the early 70s, like Herbie Hancock's Mondishi band, that kind of group, really spacey jazz. These guys are really good. This is the album Koyo from 2003, which
I have to look this up.
Huh?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out as well.
They have an album called Clint, where they do music from Clint Eastwood movies in their
Wow.
own way, which it's freaking mind blowing at how incredible it is.
Wow.
They
You would
really
think they'd have Bond movies with Odd Job as a name, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good reference.
Yeah.
it's a great name. And
Yeah.
it's easy to remember, and it gives you that visual of Odd Job, the guy with the hat, right? He had a blade on the end of his hat.
Ah, yeah,
in
that
the
was
Bond
funny.
movie. So anyway, if you like that kind, if you like jazz and you like progressive jazz, it's not like fusion. It's not like Return to Forever guitar-based fusion. It's more psychedelic and cosmic sounding. Excellent stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Getting out to not so dreary in Las Vegas, where we always have sunshine. So I pick a sunshiny more band to talk about. Though I do love that Damnation, and that's the first one I could like because I could not like that earlier stuff. But but anyways, I'm on this next one. See if this will show up, but I'll try to put it up here. But does that come through at all?
Oh, Kaipa.
Yeah. So it's Kaipa, it's Key Holder. And a lot of you guys, hopefully some of you are familiar with Flower Kings and some of that, but Roy Stolt, of course, and Jonas Reingold head up the band. That's another project by them. And I think it's got 8 songs, but I think the highlight for me, I'm sure Mark's familiar with them, is Distant Voices. I just love that song. And what else can I say about it? It's Alina Gibson's, I think I want to say. I just love it when they have her come on and participate on songs on her female vocals on here. Really picks up the music for them. So anyways, that's Kaipa Key Holder for my third one.
Fantastic album, yes.
All right. I'll second Robert's O.S.I.
That's
I have
good
it
too.
here as well. Now that I've been producing albums as a label, I really enjoy like the packaging. It has kind of this earbook binding on it, like a regular, and it kind of makes it feel like you're in the middle of you're getting like documents from the office, the strategic influence, right? And so and of course there, I think was it Hello Helicopter that has Steven Wilson as a guest on there as well?
No, I
one's
think
got
the name
Shut
of the song is Shut Down.
Oh, Shut Down, right?
Shut
Thank you.
Down.
So we've got two Steven Wilson we got mentioned twice here in 2003. Before In Absentia, when the band kind of blew up on the Lava label. If you can consider a prog band blowing up, but I just like every song in here. I like Kevin Moore, and then Kevin Moore was doing this, and he was doing Chroma Key, and I was really surprised because I didn't know Dream Theater before he left, and I was really surprised that I like Kevin Moore so much that I was surprised that Dream Theater actually survived him leaving, to tell you the truth, because I really like his songwriting, and I definitely get what you're saying in the vocals. Could be considered dreary, or it could be considered moody. It kind of depends on your take on it, right? He's definitely not something I would aspire to sing like, but I think like I said, it works. It's very moody album, and all his stuff is, especially his Chroma Key stuff. So that's I'll just second O.S.I.
Cool.
Yep.
Right. Well,
we're next. Oh yeah, Robert.
Yeah. My next album, this is a good one. Rush in Rio. Now that is a fun album. It's a massive live triple CD of their gigantic Vapor Trails tour in Rio de Janeiro in November 2002, in front of an unimaginable audience of 40,000 people. Even harder to imagine such a crowd. They played in front of like 60,000 people the day before. It was also released as a 2 DVD set. That particular show captured the band at the true peak of their live performance work. It has a great set list of the material from that era. The quality might be a little bit less than their classic live album, like Exit Stage Left and A Show of Hands. That's because of the dubious recording equipment available in Brazil at that time. But the live energy and the musicianship is just formidable. Great, great, great album.
Agree.
Rush in Rio.
Very good. Me next.
Ian.
So my third one is going to be Ozjezmi Doma, Cod
Oh.
Liver Oil. They're a Czech punk prog band. They formed in 1985, so they're pre the Iron Curtain coming down. They were kind of a anti-government revolutionary band back in the day. In those times, as you can imagine, the music was a bit hard to get hold of in the West, but since it's opened up a bit, all of their albums are now available. The nearest I can probably compare them to is somebody like Cardiacs. They're punky but complex sound, and they have lots of horns in there. They've got tuba, bassoon, French horn. They've got violin in there. It's lots of high energy, lots of shouty singing involved in it. All of their albums are pretty good. This is the one before they released one on Cuneiform. Cuneiform put out their next album, Cave. This was the one before that. Great album. If you like bouncy, energetic, complex, shouty music. Which I do.
That's about right.
Ron.
All right. Well, I think we got a triple here.
Ah.
Yeah.
The winner today is.
Yeah. Since you guys kind of talked about mostly the main album, I like the second disc, where they do that old Pink Floyd song, Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. And then they have this mega length song of almost 18 minutes, The Thing That Never Was. Kind of, just the title right there kind of conjures up H.P. Lovecraft for some reason. And yeah, this one I bought, the little book, and I had to take it I put it in plastic because I don't, my only gripe with these kind of things, while they look awesome, if they get dinged up and the thing where the CDs go in, if that gets ripped for some reason, which, I try to keep things pristine. Where do they go?
The disc falls out.
Yeah, so that's the only gripe I have with this kind of format. Other than that, I think it's fantastic. I mean, to go through that artwork, and like Mark was saying, it's like, you feel like you're kind of almost like it's like what do you call it? A Visa stamps, and like maybe like it's a secret agent going around, a prog secret agent.
All right.
All right, Chris.
All right, so I'm going with another fusion album, Dave Douglas, Freakin'. Dave Douglas is a New York trumpeter.
Okay.
This is a 12-piece band. And again, this is it's not hard fusion. It's more along them like Odd Job, more trumpet led, spacey. New York kind of has a skronky, fuzzy, trippy kind of sound to it. Trumpet led. There's some good guitar work on it by the guitarist Mark Ribot.
Ribot is excellent.
Ribot these are creative guys.
He's on loads of stuff.
Yeah, this is just really creative. Every track is different. There's some beautiful spacey stuff, but there's also some, burning, funky fusion that's just, it's very hip. It's a really hip band. And That came out in 2003. And that's, I got that at Tower Records, which was a Tower Records down the street from us in Stamford. And it was an awesome store. It closed in 2006, but they used to stay open until midnight.
Oh, I
I
remember
would work
that.
all day and go in that store. I was the only one in the store for like an hour. And they had 2 floors and a jazz classical room. That was just, it was incredibly well stocked. I miss that store, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, we had one in a neighboring city in Pasadena. Had a 2-story, and bottom floor was all music. Top floor had some music, but then they had their rental section, you know, of movies and such. And I used to go there. They stayed open, like I said, till midnight. So I would go there about 10 o'clock at night, and sometimes I'm the only one there.
Right.
And so I could just go through whatever movies and music, you know, spend that 2 hours and have the clerks annoyed at me saying, we want to go home. And I was just there. I said, okay, just give me a couple more seconds. I'm almost done. You know, and sometimes I come up with a big stack of stuff, sometimes maybe 2. And they get annoyed at me when I only get 2. It's like, you spend all that time and you only got 2 things. Come on, man, you know. But yeah,
the writing was on the wall when they turned the escalators off.
Yeah,
towards the end, they're saving electricity. They turn the escalators off to the 2nd floor, and they start turning lights off. And then in 2006, they liquidated everything. And there isn't a store where I live. There isn't one store that sells music within 10 miles.
Oh wow!
So
they still have a website on Tower Records. I just went to it.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. I didn't realize that they did have.
Yeah, so I keep on seeing that. You probably saw the ads all over Facebook. You know, and it's like, oh wow, they're still around, but you know, digitally.
And invisible touches on the homepage.
Oh jeez.
Oh my gosh. Anyhow.
Do you guys still buy a lot of physical music?
Oh yes, I do. Absolutely.
Don't have the space. I had to give up the physical. It's all digital now. I only get physical if I can't get it on digital.
That's kind of how I am. Yeah. Like I got the new Universe Zero. I had to get that.
I've got it as well. It's sitting on the shelf over there.
I had to get that.
Had to get it physical.
Well, I have thousands of copies of the same thing. It's having a label, but
you're trying to sell to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. And I have between Unitopia, Chester Thompson, and UPF, I have 3,000 probably physical units here. So
yeah.
All right, check you out.
Okay. Number 4. So, like I said, I got back into prog about 2014, and for some reason, this next one, you know, I don't know why, because some of the most obscure bands that I thought I didn't know why they were obscure because I didn't know anybody back then that I came across. You know, one of them was this one. I still love it. It's just I don't know if it'll come through again, but I'll put it there. It's called Strange Fish, Full Scale. I don't know if anybody's heard of Strange Fish. But they had a 2003, 2006 album, and then they disbanded. And then all of a sudden, when was it? Let me look here. I think it was 18. Yeah, 2018, they came out with a 3rd album. It's pretty darn good too. So I was real happy to see that. But I figured like no one would pick it. I didn't know if anybody would not know it, but it's probably more neo-ish than what Ian would like. But they do go more. They have some, you know, it's a little bit more than just the Neil Morse or whatever. It's got a little bit more going on. But anyways, that was my 4th one. I just wanted to bring it up because maybe somebody watching this will check it out. If you're into mainstream prog, you probably love this, I think.
All right, Mark.
All right. So I guess I'm going to go with a different Chicago band. Sonus Umbra had Spiritual Vertigo that year, and it's been sold out, but it was one of the 2 albums that was strong enough to get them the gig at the first Rozfest in 2005. They also had Digging for Zeros that hadn't come out. I think came out about the time of the festival, which they did to play a lot of. I think Snapshots from Limbo, Spiritual Vertigo, Digging for Zeros is that was kind of the Mexican version of the band, which since became an American version in 2013 in the Chicago lineup. And there's this guy named Prognot that said they're unlike any other band. That is a refreshing thing, highly recommended. So if everybody knows him, they can reach out to him about this particular album. He wrote that actually. So
I never heard of that guy.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Great musician. Great fun.
Yeah. And they're actually playing at my house tomorrow. We're doing a little live thing, but it's a fun band from Chicago and a little different. They're going to be instrumental going forward, at least in the short term. That's a little update on Sonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right.
Hey, Robert.
All right. Well, to expand a little bit on Chuck's review, I also have Feel Euphoria by Spog's Beard.
Please expand.
Yes. Well, basically, it's the first album without a longtime leader and vocalist Neil Morris, with drummer Nick DeVirgilio taking the helm. I admit that at the time I had high hopes for this new Spog's Beard. Comes in this fancy box set along with a nice booklet and an inside-out sampler CD. It sounded quite different from their last album, Snow. It's a good album as a whole, but a bit jarring when you expect something that sounds even remotely like Morse's Spog's Beard. Morse was Spog's Beard, and Feel Euphoria lacks Morse's renowned harmonies, melodies, and counterpoints. Overall, it's listenable, but I'm afraid it's a bit dull. Not any song that really stands out for me. So, kind of a...
Yeah, I was expecting more from that, because there was some parts that was building up, and then it's like,
Exactly.
went off the cliff. Just went off the cliff. I mean...
Right.
But, if you just kind of cherry pick some of the songs on there, you probably maybe get a short EP.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Ian.
Next up, Alla Mailman Vassarat.
Oi! Yes.
And I'm going to butcher the name of their album because it's in Finnish, but it's Kamalauto Kunta. I think is their second or third album. Finnish klezmer metal band.
Mm-hmm.
They're a very interesting band in that they featured, instead of any guitarists, they've got two cellos. They've also got a contrabass bassoon and a trombone as the lead instruments. And it's bouncy Eastern European klezmer, but with a metal edge to it. Mm-hmm. All of their albums are pretty strong through their discography. This is one of the particular favorites of mine. I'm not going to try and pronounce any of the tracks because it's all in Finnish and it's all pretty brutal to look at. But if you like edgy instrumental metal that's got a bit of an Eastern European vibe to it with a different instrument set, Alla Mailman Vassarat.
Absolutely. Very cool stuff. We've seen them at Nearfest.
Right. They played Nearfest. They played the Rock and Opposition Festival. They're no more. The saxophone player died probably about 4 or 5 years ago, so the band is no more.
Yeah, they put
you're a sucker for bassoon, no?
Well, it's contrabass saxophone, so it's one of those huge saxophones.
Okay.
It's about 6 foot tall. Is the saxophone?
Wow.
They had the cellos going through fuzz boxes.
Yeah.
So the cello sounded like electric guitars.
They did,
but bowed. Yeah.
Cool band.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun at Nearfest. They had a good sense of humor on stage.
Oh, funny guys. Yeah. When I saw them at Rock and Opposition, we were leaping around in front of the stage. It was like being at a punk show because there was so much energy there.
Mm-hmm.
Ron.
All right. Well, to two guys were pretty busy this year. Rona and Jonas were pretty busy. They kind of joined forces. It was almost like the Flower Kings and Parallel or 90 Degrees came together and formed the Tangent.
Mm-hmm.
It was at the time, I think Andy Tillison wanted to explore a more Canterbury sound, and where Parallel and 90 Degrees was kind of more of a, for lack of a better word, it kind of fell into like an industrial kind of a sounding. I remember one of their songs, Migraine, and it literally gives you a migraine, you know, because it's got all these metallic sounds going at you, and so this was so different. I mean, it's three suites in one song, and my big thing is when they do suites, and they list it as 4 songs, but there's many more songs. Each of the suite is broken up into sections, so it's kind of difficult when you start getting into it, because all of a sudden the song goes and then it has that little millisecond space between each of the songs, and it kind of breaks up the thing. And at the time when I had this, when I first bought, I had one of those CD recorders that I found out by mistake. You can attach all those songs together. So anything that had like a multi-part suite, I made it into one song, you know, so I can have it to listen to as one song. But this is basically, it's almost like a love letter to Canterbury music. And it began a long career with Andy going through different lineup changes. Ronnie still, I think, stayed for the next one, and then after that he went back to doing Transatlantic and Flower King. So because he was getting really, I mean, I think at this time he had like 3 or 4 bands going, you know. So it's like that's kind of tough.
Transatlantic was
Kinda
that
keep
old? I didn't think Transatlantic was that old. I have to look that up now.
Yeah, like 2000.
Yeah,
2 or
the
3.
first one's 2000. Yeah,
Wow.
2000,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, and
It was busy.
but great album, you know, very melodic and very soothing. You just listen to it and just like, you know, can just kick back, and if you like your favorite beverage or, you know, your favorite smoke, you know, and just relax to it.
Andy Tilson is a great composer.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really, and a really cool guy, you know.
Yeah, and I think it helps with Guy Manning as a songwriter too at that point. Although
Yeah.
I'm a big Guy Manning fan, so maybe I'm not. I mean,
Well,
I'm biased.
I think Guy helped on a couple of the Parallel and 90 Degrees albums.
Yeah.
I think he did. Maybe
He's on this too, isn't he? Right?
Was that?
He's on this, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's
Acoustic
composer
guitars,
parts.
mandolin, and vocals.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a great album. I love this one. So that's my number 4.
All right.
Now for the final one.
Right.
Okay.
So I would have to agree. I liked the Opeth Damnation album and the King Crimson Power to Believe. Those are really good. I'm gonna choose. I don't have this. I couldn't find the CD, but it's the Norwegian band Motorpsycho.
Oh yeah.
And the Jaga Jazzist Horns. They did an album. Jaga Jazzist is a Norwegian kind of a fusion band. They kind of like Norwegian Snarky Puppy. If you're familiar.
Great band. They're a great band.
Kind of sound like that. That kind of fusion. And they joined up with Motorpsycho, who's it's really hard to describe their sound because they're so prolific and they've dabbled in a lot of different genres. But I would say definitely prog, you know, is their mainstay. You know, it's all proggy. Prog, the fans of progressive rock would like Motorcycle. And with these horns, this album is a little more expansive and spacey. It's not as aggressive as a lot of the other Motorcycle releases. If you haven't heard those guys, you should check them out. They have like 20 albums out. I mean,
They have a ton of stuff out there, and it's always good. It's always a good.
It's all decent, right? It's all decent.
Yeah.
This one is my favorite, though. The horns.
I've only been like the last 3 when I came into them. What do you think about the new one, Ian? That was really different.
Haven't heard it yet. Still haven't heard that one.
It's really
new Motorcycle.
Yeah, it's a super mellow.
Uh-huh.
It's just well, I would say the opposite, but a lot different than before. But just real laid back.
I like it.
I'm not saying. I mean, I just wanted to get your opinion.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. My last one. I'm going to go with keeping the mainstream. My venue alive here, because I'm the only one maybe doing it completely here. But this one is called Satellite. They're a Polish band. So if you see that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it's a street between sunrise and sunset, and I've been ever since I got back into prog. I mean, any Polish prog, I just usually love it because just they're all the groups that represent that, And I got into the Atticeme and Collage. In fact, Collage, they went away for quite a long time, and I guess this was their little project that they came back into. I was reading here. So Wojciech is his name, however you say it, Wojtek, came in and did this. But then what's funny is now Collage is back, and these guys have been gone a while. So, and this Collage album of 2022 was one of the best albums. Well, for what I liked, it was one of the best albums of 2022. Anyways, that's my 5th one. That's Satellite, a street between sunrise and sunset. A couple of great epics, or not an epic to mark, but over 10 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah, I'm saying for my epic 10 minutes.
All right. Well, that was on my short list. I was definitely thinking about playing, but I want to make sure. I'm pretty sure Riverside came out with Out of Myself this year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard it, and I was kind of just like, what? I was saving it to let somebody else talk about it. So, but here I am on the last one. So Riverside, that was There's No Label, their debut album. Let me look here. I got a couple of songs. Out of Myself and Reality Dream. Just some great stuff there from them. I remember it being in very high rotation back in 2003 on my podcast, and because I didn't have that much knowledge yet. Yep.
Yeah, great album.
So yeah,
on my short list too.
And that's it for me.
Okay, so my turn. Okay, my last album. This is very, very cool. It's a Japanese band. It's Four Corners Sky by the band KBB.
Yeah.
That Japanese prog rock quartet, it offers a mesmerizing second album. If you're a fan of instrumental jazzy fusion, this band will click. The musicianship and the technical proficiency on this album is just out of the park. It's energetic, elegant, and imaginative. The violin work of Akihisa Tsuboi, I hope I pronounce his name right. It's front and center on many of the songs. It's often influenced by the likes of Jean-Luc Ponty, David Cross, and Eddie Jobson, even surpassing them at times. He is one of the most impressive violinists there is. There's great keyboard work on the track Backside Edge. And among the best tracks on this disc, Kraken's Brain is Blasting features brilliant guitar and violin work throughout, and I Am Not Here has a splendid, eerie melody. This is a beautiful album. So basically, that wraps up my album list.
I agree, Robert. That band is hot.
Mm-hmm.
I have to spin that now that you brought it up. I haven't listened to it in years. Didn't they have another one? They had 2. Did they release 2 albums?
Yeah, I think so.
2, yeah.
I only have that one though.
There's another one after that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my last one. Since Chris opened up jazz, I'm going to go deeper into jazz. I'm going to pick The Necks and Drive By. This is a Australian jazz trio, minimalist jazz trio, made up of piano, double bass, and drums. They're fully improvised. They basically, everything they release is one long piece. This has one track on it, 60 minutes long. And if you know minimalist jazz, it builds and releases and builds and releases, and there's very small movements as they move around. It's pretty transcendental. You get into a zone, and it takes you away for like the full hour of the album. All of their albums are pretty much the same. I think they started to break them up into individual tracks, but when they play live, you sit down, they start playing. An hour later, they finish their set, and there's no gap in it throughout the show. But a lot of albums out there, been around for quite a while. If you get the chance to see them, they're definitely worth seeing. But this is Drive By The Necks.
Fantastic.
Is that composed, Ian?
Fully improvised, 100% improvised. They walk in, set up, and start.
Huh.
They
That takes some balls.
Oh yeah, for an hour, straight through.
Oh, jeez.
Very cool.
Yeah, check them out. It's good stuff.
I will.
All right.
And that was my last one. Ron, your last one?
My last one is Rick Wakeman, Out There. And this is where he has, I guess, what do they call it? The new English rock ensemble, and Damian Wilson is the singer on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And
did not know that.
At that time, I was really into stuff that Damian Wilson was on. I mean, I think I had just about everything. He had a solo album around about that time where it was almost kind of, he went folk music in a way, you know, English folk music. And it was just kind of nice just to hear just his voice be the main thing. But here it's like that the album cover, I don't know, so you can see it has almost like a steampunk type of a spaceship that they go, you know, so it's all about space, and it's on the heavy side, but not, it doesn't go into prog metal. It's just on the heavy rock side. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's not really doesn't have a lot of complex songs on it. It's just pretty straightforward. And you got Rick Wakeman's keyboards right out there, you know. So they did a nice, I believe, a DVD of this, and this was just a one-off thing. You know, they didn't have Damian Wilson, and I was kind of sad that they didn't do that. But I think 2 albums after that, they did something. He did the 2 retro albums where he went into his garage and got out all his old keyboards from way back when, and decided to make an album, 2 albums out of, you know, with fiddling around with those keyboards. And this one is really good. I mean, if you like Rick Wakeman, this is kind of, and if you like Damian Wilson's vocals, you know, you should like this. I mean, I think this is something Chuck might like.
Sounds like it. I never knew that, Ron. Ron, that's the first I ever heard that those 2 are together. So
yeah, it's the first and only time, to my knowledge. I mean, I don't know if they ever did anything after that, but you know, but Damian Wilson, he's another one of those. He's in one band, and then next thing you know, he's in a different band. He just keeps on jumping all over the place, you know.
No, in
the
the
first
arena.
time yeah. I mean, he started off, to my knowledge, it was Landmark with a Q at the end, then Threshold. He did a couple stuff with Arion.
Yes.
And then he got back into Threshold. I think he came in and out of Threshold, kind of almost like leapfrogged, sort of, and then now he's in Arena. So, and I think he was
the original Threshold Singer went back and
Yeah.
forth. I think Damien was in there
Yeah.
concurrently one time, if
Right.
I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And the first, if you like that prog metal stuff, but it's not like overly guitar heavy, is the first Threshold album. Actually, the first two Threshold albums. They're very catchy songs, there's real good stuff. But yeah, Damien Wilson's one of those busy guys,
Yeah.
It's not as really that known throughout, prog. You just have to, if you come across his name and you kind of follow him, because he has a very, I want to say, very unique voice.
Sure.
It's powerful, but he doesn't sound like anyone else.
No, that's true.
Which is something I like in vocalists. I don't want you to sound like anybody else. I want you to sound like you. That's always been my argument about vocals.
Yeah. Little story about Damien Wilson. When he was in Montreal a couple of months ago for the arena show, he had full-on COVID, and he still made the the show, and his voice was almost top-notch perfect.
Wow.
Wow.
He was John Mitchell was a little bit upset with him. I'll give you a little inside story, because Damien is so friendly. He's so friendly, right? And he's hugging like everybody in the audience on their whole tour. And then he gets COVID, on the way to Canada. So,
Yeah.
and John blames the man himself. So here you go. Yeah.
Mr. COVID.
Yeah.
Well, I think 2003 was a pretty good year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of variety.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Not bad at all.
Mainstream to chaotic.
Yes.
Which is, I do like that one you mentioned. Thinking Plague. A friend of mine sent me a digital copy of probably In Extremis.
Yeah, In Extremis is the one before that one.
I heard that, and her voice, while it does take a little bit to get used to, once you're used to it,
she's got a great voice.
It sounds normal to me.
Yep.
It sounds really normal. I mean, she's a great vocalist, But yeah, a lot of great stuff. And before we wrap up, on December 30th, I want to do. Anybody can join if they want. I want to do an end of the year special of albums favorite albums that you bought that were released in 2023. Because I think this was a pretty big year. Thanks in part to the pandemic. I mean, a lot of the musicians were hunkering down and just writing music so much. Like I was saying, like I was saying in the Facebook Messenger, it's like, if I had the budget, I think I probably would have like stacks of CDs right back here, maybe a couple hundred of stuff. But
this is a very good album from 2023.
Yeah, mystery.
Mystery.
Minus the artwork.
Yeah, Redemption. And guess who did the artwork?
I know. Yeah. Exactly.
Well done, Bob.
Very good.
Yeah, so that's on December 30th. So that's basically what
do you guys hear?
4
like
weeks
for 2023? What is there? I didn't listen to a lot this year. What's like the really hot, really great album that everyone should hear?
all the time.
It depends what you like. I two highlights for me were Poiluida, who released 2 albums. They're a French punk prog band with a Japanese medieval opera singer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you would not think they would work. They work beautifully together. So there's 2 albums they released, Poiluida, and then Ne, the French math brutal jazz band, just released an album yesterday, which is definitely going to make my top 5 on the year.
What's the name?
Ni, like, as in the Knights Who Said Ni. The Monty Python sketch.
Oh,
They're,
okay.
they're named after the Monty
Very
Python
good.
sketch.
Oh, nice.
Just N-I, Ni.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. So, you know, just come back and we can let everybody out there know our favorite. You know, it could be, I mean, I'll cap it at 10, you know, because,
Yeah.
We'll be at it all night.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
it's a
God,
big year, but
Jesus.
it's that you don't need to give me 10. That's for sure.
No.
Yeah. You know, we could do 5 or 10, you know, just
5.
something that, I get, put it this way, the 5 that you always go back to, no matter what came out in 2023, the 5 albums that you went to all the time that you couldn't stop listening to.
Right.
So,
All right.
well, I want to thank you guys for
Thanks.
taking the time and
Thank
thanks,
you.
Chris, for joining us.
Good
Oh,
to see
yeah.
you
Yeah,
guys.
it's been a pleasure.
Nice to see you, Chris.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice to meet you, Chris.
Nice to meet you guys.
Welcome.
It was a lot of fun.
See you later.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you.
All right, guys. See you.
All right, guys.
All right.
Good
So
seeing
have
you
a
all.
great evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
See you, Ron.
See ya.